Sometimes life places us in front of people who test our patience, push our buttons, and challenge our peace. In these moments, staying calm isn't just a response. It's your ultimate power. How you choose to act when someone tries to trigger you says more about you than about them. This isn't about winning the argument. This is about winning yourself. When someone is deliberately trying to trigger you, it's important to understand that their behavior is often not about you. It's about them seeking control, validation, or a reaction that feeds their ego. Recognizing the trap is the first, most powerful step towards staying calm in these moments. Many times, people who try to provoke others are looking for one thing, a reaction that gives them power. They thrive on pulling you into their game, their energy, their emotional chaos. They know exactly what buttons to push, what words to use, and what tone will make you snap. But here's the truth. You are not obligated to play that game. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. The moment you realize that their attempt to trigger you is a carefully designed strategy to control the situation, you begin to step out of their trap. It's about awareness. When you become aware that you're being provoked on purpose, you take the first step in regaining control over the situation and, more importantly, over yourself. It's not weakness to walk away or to choose silence. It's mastery. It's strength. When someone is trying to trigger you, they are betting on your automatic emotional response. They are expecting you to explode, to defend, to lash back. They want you to feel cornered so that your reaction hands them the control they were looking for all along. But when you pause, instead, when you see through their manipulation, you shatter their plan. You refuse to be moved. Recognizing the trap doesn't mean you allow people to mistreat you. It means you become strategic about how you protect your peace. You can still address issues. You can still stand up for yourself, but you do it without being dragged into emotional mud. This approach flips the power dynamic. It shows that you are anchored, you are self-aware, and you choose when and how to engage. You don't let your emotions be hijacked by someone else's agenda. When you see someone trying to trigger you, smile internally. You've already won. Because the real victory isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you are untouchable, emotionally disciplined, and in full control of your own narrative. Their power ends where your self-awareness begins. Stay calm, stay grounded, and most importantly, stay free from the games people try to pull you into. When emotions start to rise and someone is deliberately trying to trigger you, one of the most effective and immediate tools you can use to stay calm is your own breathing. It might sound simple, but controlling your breath has a direct connection to calming your mind and body. When you are provoked, your body often switches into fight or flight mode. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense up, and your breathing becomes shallow and rapid. This physical response makes you more likely to react impulsively, to say something you might regret, or to lose control over your emotions. But when you take slow, deep breaths, you send a powerful message to your nervous system. You are safe, you are in control, and there is no need to panic. Breathing is like an anchor that keeps you grounded in the middle of a storm. It helps you slow down not just your physical response, but also your mental reaction. When you focus on your breath, you give yourself a small but crucial pause, a space between the trigger and your response. In that space, you can choose how you want to handle the situation, rather than getting swept away by the heat of the moment. Even just a few slow, steady breaths can make a huge difference. Inhale deeply through your nose, hold it for a moment, and exhale slowly through your mouth. As you exhale, imagine the tension leaving your body. Imagine the anger and frustration flowing out of you with each breath. This simple act helps to reduce the emotional charge and brings you back to a place of calm awareness. The beauty of this technique is that it's always available to you. No one else needs to know what you're doing. You don't need to make a scene. You don't need to excuse yourself. Right there, in the middle of the situation, you can return to your breath and reclaim your calm. It's a silent power move that instantly disconnects you from the energy the other person is trying to pull you into. When you take control of your breathing, you remind yourself that you don't have to match the pace of someone else's chaos. The more you practice controlled breathing in tense situations, the more naturally it will come to you when you need it most. It becomes a habit, a shield, a quiet strength that protects your peace. Breathing is not just about oxygen. It's about choosing presence, choosing patience, and choosing yourself in moments where losing control might seem easier. It's in those breaths that you find your greatest calm. When someone is trying to trigger you, one of the most powerful things you can do is emotionally detach from the situation. This doesn't mean you ignore the person or pretend that their words or actions don't exist. It means you create a mental and emotional distance that allows you to observe without absorbing. Emotional detachment is the skill of stepping back and seeing the situation as if you are watching it from the outside rather than being consumed by it from the inside. When you detach, you don't lose your empathy or your awareness. You simply stop giving someone else the keys to your emotional state. People who try to provoke you often want you to get fully involved, to feel anger, frustration, sadness, or confusion. They want you to emotionally invest in the conflict they are creating. But when you detach, you deny them that access. You become like calm water. Whatever they throw at you simply floats on the surface without sinking in. You are aware of what's happening, but you refuse to let it control you. You begin to see their behavior more clearly because you're not blinded by your own emotional reaction. You can notice their patterns, their intentions, and their weaknesses without being caught in the web of the moment. Detaching emotionally gives you the power to respond with wisdom instead of impulse. It allows you to protect your inner peace while still handling the situation with maturity. Sometimes, when you fully engage with people who are trying to trigger you, you lose yourself in the heat of the conflict. But when you detach, you become the calm center in a storm that isn't yours. You can watch their anger, their sarcasm, their attempts to push your buttons, and simply let them pass like clouds moving across the sky. It's important to understand that emotional detachment is not coldness or indifference. It is self-respect. It is emotional intelligence. It is saying to yourself, I will not give anyone the power to pull me out of alignment with my peace. You can still care about people. You can still listen and engage when necessary, but you do it from a place of calm observation, not emotional entanglement. Over time, this practice makes you stronger. You become less reactive and more centered. People's attempts to trigger you will lose their effect because you've built a distance that protects your energy. Emotional detachment is not about running away from problems. It's about standing so firmly in your own calm that other people's chaos can no longer reach you. Setting boundaries is one of the most essential ways to stay calm and protect yourself when someone is trying to trigger you. Boundaries are like invisible lines that tell others how they can treat you, and they are not just for physical space. They apply to emotional and mental space as well. When someone tries to provoke you, they are often testing those boundaries, trying to see how far they can push you or how much they can control your reaction. When you don't set clear limits, you leave the door open for people to keep stepping into your peace and disturbing your emotional balance. Establishing a boundary doesn't mean you have to argue, yell, or aggressively defend yourself. In fact, the calmest boundaries are often the most powerful. It can be as simple as saying, "I'm not going to continue this conversation right now," or walking away without needing to explain. Sometimes the most effective boundary is silence, a refusal to engage, a quiet withdrawal of your attention. People who try to trigger you thrive on your emotional reaction. But when you calmly refuse to give it, they are left powerless. Boundaries also show self-respect. They tell the world that you value your emotional well-being and that you are not available for manipulation or unnecessary conflict. Many people believe they must always defend themselves or explain their choices. But that's not true. Sometimes you owe no one an explanation. Your peace, your mental health, your stability, they don't need to be debated or justified. You can set a boundary and walk away with complete calm, knowing that it's not your job to make others comfortable when they are crossing the line. When you start setting boundaries consistently, you begin to see how people react. Some will respect you more, while others may push harder, testing if you really mean it. But the key is to remain firm. Boundaries only work when you enforce them without hesitation. You don't need to get angry to be firm. You can say no with kindness. You can step back with grace. You can remain calm while protecting your space. What's most beautiful about setting boundaries is that it helps you stay in control of yourself. You don't allow someone's words, energy, or provocation to pull you into a place you don't want to be. You decide where you stand, how much you'll engage, and when it's time to walk away. Boundaries are a form of self-care. They are not walls to keep people out. They are doors you control, deciding who gets to come in and who does not. And that decision, made calmly and confidently, is where your true power lies. When someone is trying to trigger you, one of the most important things you can remember is to respond, not react. There's a powerful difference between these two. Reacting is instant, emotional, and often uncontrolled. It's what happens when you let someone push your buttons and you immediately snap, argue, yell, or get defensive. Reacting is what they want because it means they've successfully taken control of your emotions. Responding, on the other hand, is thoughtful, intentional, and calm. It's when you pause, think, and choose your next move carefully. A response comes from a place of power. A reaction comes from a place of vulnerability. When you react, you often say things you don't mean, or you get pulled into conversations you didn't even want to have. In those moments, you lose your balance. But when you respond, you stay centered. You maintain control over your words, your tone, and your energy. The other person may expect you to explode, but when you don't, it catches them off guard. It shows them they can't control you. The power shifts back to you. Sometimes the best response is no response at all. Silence can be louder than words. Walking away, remaining calm, and choosing not to engage can send a stronger message than any argument ever could. Silence doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've outgrown the need to prove yourself in every situation. It means you're protecting your peace, not because you can't fight, but because you've learned you don't need to. Choosing to respond instead of react also gives you time to process. It gives you the chance to ask yourself, what outcome do I really want here? Is this worth my energy? Will this argument matter tomorrow or next week or next year? When you approach life with this level of mindfulness, you begin to save yourself from unnecessary stress and emotional damage. You no longer allow someone's bad behavior to decide how you feel. Learning to respond, not react, is a skill that takes practice. It won't always be easy, especially when you feel disrespected or misunderstood. But each time you pause and choose your response, you are training your mind to stay calm under pressure. You are showing yourself that you can be in control even when someone is trying hard to pull you out of your peace. Ultimately, responding instead of reacting is not about letting people get away with bad behavior. It's about deciding what deserves your attention and what doesn't. It's about staying focused on what truly matters, your own emotional freedom. You are not here to be dragged into every storm. You are here to stand firmly in your calm, no matter what. Your inner peace is your most valuable treasure. And when someone is trying to trigger you, protecting that peace should be your highest priority. It's easy to think that winning an argument, defending your pride, or proving your point is what really matters in heated situations. But the truth is, none of those things are worth sacrificing your emotional stability. When you make your peace your top priority, you naturally begin to see things differently. You no longer see every confrontation as something you need to dive into. You no longer allow someone else's behavior to drag you out of your calm place. You realize that not everything deserves your attention. Not every comment needs a response, and not every battle is yours to fight. Focusing on your inner peace means you learn to choose yourself, even when everything around you is pulling you towards chaos. You protect your energy the way you would protect something rare and priceless, because that's exactly what it is. People who try to trigger you are often looking for an emotional reaction because they want to shake you, unsettle you, or pull you into their world of negativity. When you stay calm and grounded, you quietly refuse to give them what they want. Your peace becomes your silent shield. To maintain this inner peace, you have to get comfortable walking away from things that disturb your balance. It's not weakness to step back. It's wisdom. You are not avoiding conflict because you're scared. You are choosing peace because you value yourself. You understand that your mental and emotional health come first, always. You stop chasing the need to be right. You stop needing to prove that you're smarter, tougher, or better. You realize that the ultimate win is when you walk away still feeling calm, still feeling in control of your emotions. Focusing on your inner peace also means you learn to let go quickly. When people throw negative energy at you, you don't carry it with you throughout the day. You don't replay the conversation in your head. You don't let it stick to you. You let it pass through you like wind passing by, because you know your peace is more important than holding on to anger, frustration, or resentment. The more you focus on your inner peace, the stronger it becomes. You develop a quiet confidence that doesn't need to shout. You stop being easily shaken. You learn to stay centered, even in the middle of someone else's storm. This is true strength, to hold your ground, to keep your calm, and to protect your peace like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Your peace is your power. Never give it away. In the end, staying calm when someone is trying to trigger you is not about ignoring the situation or pretending it doesn't affect you. It's about choosing yourself over the chaos. It's about recognizing the trap, controlling your breath, detaching from unnecessary emotions, setting firm boundaries, responding with wisdom instead of reacting with impulse, and fiercely protecting your inner peace. True power doesn't come from winning arguments or overpowering others. It comes from mastering yourself. The ability to stay calm is a quiet strength that speaks louder than any words. When you choose peace over provocation, you are not just avoiding conflict. You are choosing growth, discipline, and emotional freedom. The strongest version of you is the one who remains unshaken no matter what storms surround you.